The United States was one of the original trailblazers in the women's rights movement. Although slow to embrace women's liberation, America was still far ahead of other countries with regard to equality. While we are far from the inception of our country when women were treated as second-class citizens to male counterparts, beginning in 1769 with the colonies adopting the English system decreeing that women cannot own property in their own name or keep their own earnings. America has made huge strides toward equal rights over the past century. But over the past few years, the Me Too movement and the continued wage gap have highlighted how far we still have to go. Women have still not been granted the highest form of respect and protection by being added to the Constitution. As proclaimed protectors of the free world, the federal government has not done enough to protect and further true parity for women within our own borders. Throughout history, women have been treated as less than men, less capable, less valuable, and generally less important. Although the United States prides itself as a leader in human rights, we have yet to amend our Constitution to recognize and guarantee women have the same equal rights as men. Women have been subjected to men establishing laws to govern their abilities and their worth throughout history, denying the ability for women to prove themselves equal. It seems that America would support the federal government in passing legislation to bolster women's equality, as a 2018 Pew Research study on gender views showed that about 8 in 10 Americans across demographic and partisan groups think that women should have equal rights with men, with 57% of female and 42% of male participants stating that they thought the country has not done enough to give equal rights to women with men. While previous administration and current federal legislators have worked to create legislation and monitor and reduce the abilities of employers to discriminate against female workers, the current administration made attempts to halt this process by putting stays on measures that would help safeguard equality in the workspace. In 1963, President Kennedy signed into law the Equal Pay Act, prohibiting discrimination on account of sex in the payment of wages by employers, and was followed up by the federal law Title VII of the Civil Rights Act of 1964 that prohibits employers from discriminating against their employees based on sex, race, color, or national origin or religion. As a response to concerns over the wage gap, in 2016, President Obama's administration worked with the U.S. Equal Economic Opportunity Commission to require employers with over 100 employees and federal contractors with over 50 employees and contracts worth $50,000 or more to expand employer reporting requirements to include information on race, ethnicity, and genders of all employees. In 2017, President Trump's administration had the Office of Management and Budget put a stay on those same reporting requirements, resulting in equality advocates taking the Office of Management and Budget to federal court with the case. National Women's Law Center versus OMB, the federal court sided with the National Women's Law Center, lifting the stay and ordering these reporting requirements to go into effect immediately. While this was a win for monitoring and shining a light on the wage gap, it also clearly illustrates the hurdles women continue to face in the fight for true and real parity. One of the most concrete ways to judge equality is by how much money men and women make for doing the same job. The White House under Barack Obama stated, "Women are half the workforce. They are equal, if not the main breadwinners out of 4 in 10 families. Yet the women are holding down approximately the same number of jobs as the men in the U.S. They are vastly underpaid in comparison to the male counterparts." The Equal Pay Act also stated that in 2020, women in the U.S. were only paid 81 cents for each dollar that a man makes for doing the same job. According to the National Women's Law Center, nearly 2/3 of minimum wage workers in the U.S. are women. And at that current rate of movement in pay equality, women won't receive equal pay until the year 2058. Leaders and supporters of the women's rights movement have produced significant progress toward equality between the sexes. From gaining women's right to vote, to employment of half the nation's workforce, to representing 101 seats in the House of Representatives. Women's contribution to society is greater and more broad than the suffragettes could have ever dreamed. Yet discrimination and lack of equality persists to varying degrees throughout our society. For the United States to continue to pride itself as the leaders of the free world and champion of human rights, as a country, we must continue to ensure equality for women. Until women are paid the same as men, women are no longer sexually harassed or passed over for job opportunities based on their gender, we cannot declare that the federal government has done enough. As a country, we must continue to work to legislate and uphold the freedoms and liberties that America represents by demanding equality for all of our citizens.